The rain fell in sheets against the windows of the penthouse suite, 40 stories above the glittering city. Maya Williams stood frozen by the floor-to-ceiling windows, her reflection ghostly against the storm outside. Her hands trembled as she set down the champagne glass. The night that had begun as a simple business dinner had transformed into something she never expected. Now she found herself in the home of Elijah Stone, one of the most powerful businessmen in the country, a man whose name she had only seen in magazines until a week ago. "Are you sure you want to stay?" Elijah asked, his voice gentle as he stood across the room, giving her space. "I can have my driver take you home right now if that's what you want." Maya turned, her simple black dress the nicest one she owned, suddenly feeling inadequate in the opulence surrounding her. 1 week earlier, Maya Williams had been rushing through the crowded lobby of Stone Enterprises, balancing a stack of research papers and a laptop bag. At 24, she was the youngest research assistant at Horizon Medical Research, a small but promising company that had recently caught the attention of larger corporations. "Watch out!" someone called just as Maya collided with a tall figure in a tailored suit, her papers scattered across the polished marble floor. "I'm so sorry," she gasped, dropping to her knees to gather them. "I wasn't looking where I was going." "No harm done," a deep voice replied, as the man knelt beside her, helping collect the scattered documents. Maya glanced up and froze. Elijah Stone, founder and CEO of Stone Enterprises, was gathering her fallen papers. At 35, he had already built an empire that spanned technology, medical research. "Mr. Stone, I'm so sorry," she stammered. "I didn't realize." "Please, it's Elijah," he said, handing her the stack of papers he'd collected. "And you are?" "Maya Williams. I'm with Horizon Medical. We have a meeting with your research department today." Something in his expression changed as he studied her face. "The neural implant project?" Maya nodded, surprised. "Yes. I didn't expect the CEO to be familiar with it." A small smile touched his lips. "I make it my business to know about promising research, especially when it might help people." Their eyes met, and for a moment, the busy lobby seemed to fade away. Maya noticed the tired lines around his eyes, the slight heaviness in his shoulders that his perfect suit couldn't quite hide. "You're presenting today?" he asked. "Yes, I'm helping Dr. Collins with the technical aspects." Elijah checked his watch. "I wasn't planning to attend, but I think I'll make an exception." Maya followed him, suddenly aware of every eye in the lobby tracking their movement. Whispers followed them as they entered the private executive elevator. "People are staring," she murmured. "They always do," he replied, his voice carrying a weight she couldn't quite understand. The elevator ascended in silence. Maya took the opportunity to study him from the corner of her eye. Elijah Stone was handsome in a way that photographs failed to capture. His features strong but thoughtful, his dark eyes observant. But there was something else, a solitude that seemed to surround him despite his powerful presence. "The neural implant project," he said, breaking the silence. "You believe it can help stroke patients regain motor function?" Maya blinked in surprise. "Yes. Our early trials show promising results. How did you know the specifics?" "My father had a stroke 3 years ago," he said simply. "I keep track of all research in the field." The elevator doors opened to a sleek conference room where several executives and researchers were already gathered. Dr. Collins, Maya's supervisor, looked up in surprise when Elijah entered behind her. "Mr. Stone, we weren't expecting you," he said, standing quickly. "I ran into Ms. Williams downstairs. She convinced me your project deserved my personal attention." Maya shot him a grateful look as they took their seats. The presentation went better than she could have hoped. With Elijah in the room, the Stone Enterprises research team paid close attention to every detail. Maya presented the technical portions with clarity and confidence. aware of Elijah's intense focus as she explained the neural mapping technology she had helped develop. When the meeting concluded, Stone Enterprises had agreed to partner with Horizon on further development and clinical trials. "Ms. Williams," Elijah called as she packed up her materials. "May I speak with you privately?" Dr. Collins gave her an encouraging nod as he left with the others. "You were impressive today," Elijah said when they were alone. "Your understanding of the neural pathways is remarkable. Thank you. It's been my focus since graduate school." "Why this particular research?" he asked, genuinely curious. Maya hesitated before answering. "My grandmother had a stroke when I was in high school. I watched her struggle to regain her independence." Elijah nodded slowly. "Personal motivation often drives the most meaningful work." He paused. "I'd like to discuss this project further. Would you have dinner with me next week? Purely professional, of course." Maya felt her heart skip. That would be fine. Friday at 8? I'll send a car." As she left the building, Maya tried to process what had just happened. A business dinner with Elijah Stone was an incredible opportunity for her career and for the project. Yet something in the way he had looked at her suggested there might be more to his interest than just professional curiosity. The week passed in a blur for Maya. She threw herself into preparing additional research notes, determined to make the most of her dinner meeting with Elijah. Her small apartment in a modest neighborhood was a world away from the gleaming skyscraper where Elijah worked and lived. On Friday evening, Maya stood before her mirror, scrutinizing her appearance. The black dress was simple but elegant, the best she could afford. She had spent hours straightening her natural curls, second-guessing herself before finally letting them remain natural. Her mother had always told her to be proud of her heritage, her beauty. Tonight, Maya wanted to feel confident in her own skin. Her phone buzzed with a text from her best friend Tasha. "Still can't believe you're having dinner with the Elijah Stone. Details required afterward." Maya smiled and texted back, "It's just business. Don't get any ideas." "Girl, have you seen the man? Those eyes could melt steel, and you're too beautiful for him not to notice." Maya shook her head. Tasha had always been her cheerleader, but this was different. Elijah Stone moved in circles Maya had only glimpsed from afar. Their worlds were entirely separate. The buzzer rang, announcing the car's arrival. Taking a deep breath, Maya gathered her purse and research notes. Across town, Elijah stood in his penthouse, looking out over the city lights. At 35, he had achieved more than most people did in a lifetime. Stone Enterprises employed thousands, his innovations had changed industries, and his wealth afforded him anything he desired. Yet as he adjusted his tie, he felt the familiar emptiness that success had never managed to fill. His assistant, James, entered after a brief knock. "Your reservation is confirmed, sir. The private dining room at Lumiere." "Thank you." Elijah hesitated. "This is a business dinner, James." James, who had worked with Elijah for over a decade, nodded with a hint of a smile. "Of course, sir, though you don't typically request the private dining room for business meetings." Elijah shot him a look. "Ms. Williams is a brilliant researcher. Her work could change lives." "I've no doubt, sir." As James left, Elijah checked his phone, scrolling through dozens of messages from business associates, socialites, and acquaintances who called themselves friends. None of them knew him, not really. After his meteoric rise to success, people saw what they wanted to see: wealth, power, status. The loneliness had become his constant companion. But something about Maya Williams had caught his attention. In their brief interaction, she had looked at him differently, seeing past the billionaire facade to something more human. That, more than anything, had prompted his dinner invitation. At precisely 8 o'clock, Maya arrived at Lumiere, one of the most exclusive restaurants in the city. The hostess immediately recognized the name on the reservation. "Mr. Stone is waiting for you in the private dining room," she said, leading Maya through the main restaurant. Maya felt eyes following her, wondering who she was to warrant such treatment. The private dining room was intimate, with soft lighting and a stunning view of the city. Elijah rose when she entered, his expression warming. "Maya, thank you for coming." "Thank you for the invitation," she replied, suddenly nervous. As they sat down, Maya placed her research notes on the table. Elijah glanced at them with a small smile. "Always prepared. I wanted to be ready to discuss any aspects of the project," she explained. "I admire your dedication." He gestured to a waiter who appeared with champagne. "But perhaps we can set work aside just for the start of dinner?" Maya nodded, allowing the waiter to pour her a glass. "I've never been here before. It's beautiful." "I come here when I need quiet," Elijah said. "Public restaurants can be complicated for me, because people recognize you, because people think they know me." He raised his glass. "To new partnerships." Maya touched her glass to his, "to helping people recover what they've lost." As they sipped the champagne, Maya felt some of her nervousness fade. Despite his status, there was something approachable about Elijah when they were alone. "Tell me about yourself, Maya," he said. "Not the researcher, the person." She hesitated. "There's not much to tell. I grew up in a small town, worked hard for scholarships, and found my way to medical research. Family? My parents still live in my hometown. Dad's a high school teacher. Mom works at the local library. They're proud but bewildered by what I do." She smiled at the thought of them. "They gave me everything they could, mostly love and belief that I could achieve whatever I set my mind to." Elijah's expression softened. "They sound wonderful." "They are. What about your family?" A shadow passed over his face. "My parents are both gone now. My father built the foundation of what became Stone Enterprises. After his stroke, he was never the same. My mother passed a year later, heart failure, though I sometimes think it was heartbreak." "I'm sorry," Maya said quietly. "I was an only child, groomed to take over from a young age." He shrugged slightly. "The company became my family." "That sounds lonely," she said before she could stop herself. Instead of taking offense, Elijah looked at her with genuine surprise, as if no one had ever stated something so obvious about his life. "It is," he admitted. "But that's the price of success, isn't it? Does it have to be?" Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of the first course. As they ate, the discussion shifted to lighter topics: books they'd read, places they'd traveled, music they enjoyed. Maya was surprised to discover Elijah's love of jazz and his habit of visiting small clubs where he could sit unrecognized in dark corners. "You should hear the quartet at Blue Note on Thursdays," she suggested. "They're amazing, and it's small enough that you might actually get some privacy." "Perhaps you could show me sometime," he said, his eyes meeting hers. Maya felt a flutter in her chest. Perhaps. As the evening progressed, they finally turned to the research project. Maya was impressed by Elijah's technical knowledge and genuine interest in the potential impact of their work. "The funding from Stone Enterprises will accelerate our clinical trials," she explained. "I want to do more than just provide funding," Elijah said. "I want to be personally involved in the project." Maya looked at him in surprise. "That's unusual for someone in your position." "This is personal for me," he said simply. "My father might have benefited from this technology. Others still can." By the time dessert arrived, their conversation had grown comfortable, moving easily between professional and personal topics. Maya found herself telling Elijah about her dreams for the future of medical technology, while he shared the challenges of maintaining his humanity in a world that treated him as a commodity. When the check could be discreetly handled without Maya seeing the amount, she realized 3 hours had passed. "I should be going," she said reluctantly. Of course. Elijah stood with her. My driver can take you home. The rain had started while they were dining, and Elijah escorted her to his waiting car under the shelter of a large umbrella. As they reached the vehicle, a sudden gust of wind blew rain against them, and Maya stumbled slightly. Elijah caught her arm to steady her, the brief contact sending an unexpected warmth through her. "Thank you," she murmured, suddenly aware of their proximity. "Maya," he said quietly, "I'd like to see you again, not just about the project." She looked up at him, searching his face. "I'd like that too." As the car pulled away from the restaurant, Maya watched Elijah standing in the rain, no longer sheltered by the umbrella. For all his wealth and power, in that moment he looked solitary, a man watching something slip away. The following week brought daily contact with Elijah. What began as project-related calls and emails soon expanded to include messages about articles they'd read, thoughts they'd had, and gradually more personal exchanges. Maya found herself looking forward to his texts, often sent late at night when she imagined him alone in his penthouse. "Sleep eludes me again," one message read. "What keeps you up at night, Maya?" She had replied honestly, "The fear of not making a difference." His response came immediately, "You already have." 2 weeks after their first dinner, Elijah invited Maya to the Stone Enterprises Charity Gala annual event that attracted the city's elite. She had accepted despite her misgivings about fitting into his world. The night of the gala, Maya felt like she was living someone else's life. Elijah had sent a designer dress, a deep blue gown that fit her perfectly. When his car arrived to pick her up, he was inside, looking striking in a tailored tuxedo. "You look beautiful," he said simply as she entered the car. "Thank you for the dress. You shouldn't have." "I wanted to." He hesitated. "I hope you don't mind being my guest tonight. These events can be tedious, but having you there will make it bearable." The gala was held in the grand ballroom of the city's oldest hotel. As they entered together, conversations paused, heads turned, and whispers followed them across the room. Maya felt the weight of curious and sometimes hostile stares from women who recognized Elijah's eligible bachelor status and men who assessed her worth in his world. "Ignore them," Elijah murmured, his hand warm against the small of her back. Throughout the evening, he introduced her to business associates, philanthropists, and politicians. Maya was surprised at how easily she navigated the conversations, speaking passionately about her research when asked. Elijah watched her with evident pride. "You belong here," he told her during a quiet moment. "More than most of them." Maya shook her head. "This isn't my world, Elijah." "It could be," he said softly. Later, as they danced, Maya felt the distance between their worlds shrinking. In his arms, moving to the gentle music, she allowed herself to imagine a future where they could bridge the gap between them. "People are watching us," she said. "Let them." His eyes held hers. "I've spent my life being watched. Tonight, for the first time, I don't mind." As the gala wound down, Elijah suggested they leave before the crowd. In the car, he seemed thoughtful. "Would you like to see my home?" he asked suddenly. "I rarely invite people there, but I'd like to show you." The request surprised her. "Yes, I'd like that." The car took them to the tallest residential building downtown, where Elijah owned the penthouse. As they rode the private elevator, Maya felt a growing nervousness. Being alone with him in his home felt significant, a crossing of boundaries they had carefully maintained. The elevator opened directly into his penthouse, revealing a space that was unexpectedly warm despite its modern luxury. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the city lights, while the interior featured rich woods, comfortable furniture, and walls lined with books. "It's not what I expected," Maya admitted as she wandered into the living room. "What did you expect?" "Something colder." more like a showplace than a home. Elijah smiled slightly. I keep this space for myself. The rest of my life is for show. He offered her a glass of champagne, which she accepted, and they moved to the windows to look out at the storm that had begun to roll in. Lightning illuminated the clouds as they talked, the conversation flowing easily between them. As the evening progressed, Maya felt a growing connection between them, something beyond physical attraction or intellectual compatibility. Elijah spoke about his childhood, the pressure to succeed, and the loneliness of reaching the top. Maya shared her struggles growing up in a community where few people left, and fewer returned with advanced degrees. I sometimes feel caught between worlds, she confessed. Too educated for my hometown, too ordinary for places like that gala. You're far from ordinary, Maya, Elijah said, his voice low. From the moment we met, I saw something in you that I've been searching for my whole life. What's that? She asked, her heart racing. Authenticity. You see, not my wealth, not my company, just me. The intensity of his gaze made her set down her champagne glass, hands trembling slightly. The rain fell harder outside, streaming against the windows. Are you sure you want to stay? Elijah asked, his voice gentle as he stood across the room, giving her space. I can have my driver take you home right now if that's what you want. Maya turned, her simple black dress the nicest one she owned, suddenly feeling inadequate in the opulence surrounding her. Elijah moved closer, stopping just before he reached her. I don't want to pressure you, Maya. Whatever happens between us needs to be your choice. Lightning flashed outside, briefly illuminating the vulnerability in his eyes. Maya realized with sudden clarity that despite all his power and wealth, Elijah was afraid of rejection, afraid of being wanted for the wrong reasons, afraid of the connection growing between them. I've never felt this way before, she admitted. Everything is happening so fast. We can slow down, he said immediately. We have time. Maya looked at him standing before her, Elijah Stone, a man whose face appeared on magazine covers, whose decisions affected thousands of lives, who could have anyone he wanted looking at her as if she were precious. What do you want from me, Elijah? She asked quietly. He took a deep breath. I want to know you, really know you, not just the brilliant researcher or the beautiful woman, though you are both those things. I want to know what makes you laugh at 3 in the morning, what books you read when you're sad, what dreams keep you working late in the lab. His honesty touched her deeply. And if that's all I can offer right now, then it's more than anyone has given me in years. The tension between them eased, and Maya felt herself relax. They moved to the comfortable couch, where they continued talking as the storm raged outside. Elijah ordered food, when they realized neither had eaten since the light hors d'oeuvres at the gala. As they shared a casual meal of gourmet pizza and wine, Maya's phone buzzed repeatedly with texts from Tasha, concerned about her whereabouts. She sent a brief message explaining she was safe and would call tomorrow. Your friend is protective, Elijah observed. She's like my sister. We've been through a lot together. Tell me about her. Maya smiled, appreciating his genuine interest in her life. Tasha and I met in college. She's an elementary school teacher now, absolutely brilliant with kids. She's the extrovert who pushed me out of my comfort zone, dragged me to parties when I would have stayed in the lab all night. I'd like to meet her someday. She'd interrogate you mercilessly. Maya laughed. Consider yourself warned. The evening stretched into night as they talked. Maya learned about Elijah's complicated relationship with his father, his struggles with the isolation his success had created, and his private philanthropic work that went beyond the public foundation bearing his name. Most people think I have everything, he confessed. They don't understand that having everything can leave you with nothing that matters. What matters to you? She asked. Making a difference, creating something lasting. He paused. And recently, finding someone who sees the real me. As midnight approached, the rain continued unabated. Elijah offered her the guest room for the night, and Maya accepted, suddenly exhausted from the emotional evening. The guest suite was luxurious but comfortable. Elijah showed her where everything was, provided a new toothbrush and toiletries, and even found a t-shirt she could sleep in. "I'll be just down the hall if you need anything," he said at the door. "Good night, Maya." "Good night, Elijah." After he left, Maya sat on the edge of the bed, trying to process everything that had happened. She had started the evening at a gala surrounded by the wealthiest people in the city, and ended it in Elijah Stone's penthouse, wearing his t-shirt. Her life had changed so quickly it made her dizzy. She sent Tasha a final text. "I'm staying at his place tonight, not what you're thinking. Guest room. Talk tomorrow." Tasha's reply came instantly. "What? Girl, you better have all the details tomorrow." Maya smiled, set her phone aside, and climbed into the softest bed she had ever felt. Her mind kept returning to the way Elijah had looked at her, the connection they had formed, and the possibilities stretching before them. In his own room, Elijah lay awake as well, thinking about the woman down the hall. Maya Williams had walked into his life by accident and changed everything. For the first time in years, he felt hope that he might find something real amid the artificial world he inhabited. Morning arrived with sunlight streaming through the windows. Maya woke disoriented, taking a moment to remember where she was. A soft knock at the door preceded Elijah's voice. "Maya, are you awake?" "Yes, come in." He entered with a tray of coffee and pastries, already dressed in casual weekend clothes, jeans, and a simple button-down shirt that made him look younger and more approachable than his usual business attire. "I thought you might be hungry," he said, setting the tray on a small table by the window. "Thank you." She suddenly felt self-conscious in his t-shirt, her hair tousled from sleep. "I must look a mess." "You look beautiful," he said simply, his eyes warm. "How did you sleep?" "Surprisingly well." She accepted the coffee he offered. "What time is it?" "Just after 9. I have no plans today if you'd like to stay." The invitation hung between them. Maya sipped her coffee, considering. Spending the day with Elijah was tempting, but she needed time to process everything. "I should probably get home," she said finally. "I have a lot of work to catch up on." She thought she saw disappointment flicker across his face, but he nodded. "Of course. I'll have James bring you some clothes. She's remarkably good at guessing sizes." "That's not necessary. My dress from last night is beautiful but not comfortable for daytime," he finished with a smile. "Please, let me do this for you." An hour later, Maya was dressed in perfectly fitted jeans and a cashmere sweater, her evening gown carefully packed in a garment bag. "Thank you for last night," she said. "For everything." "Can I see you again soon?" he asked. "Perhaps dinner at your favorite restaurant this time?" Maya smiled. "I'd like that." As the elevator doors closed between them, Maya felt as though she was leaving part of herself behind in the penthouse with Elijah Stone. The following weeks saw Maya and Elijah navigating the beginnings of their relationship. They met for dinners at small restaurants Maya recommended, spent evenings talking in his penthouse, and even attended a concert at the jazz club she had mentioned. Elijah seemed to relish these excursions into her world, places where he could briefly escape his public persona. Their professional relationship continued alongside the personal. Elijah became actively involved in the neural implant project, providing not just funding but valuable connections to regulatory experts and manufacturing facilities. The research team made rapid progress, and Maya found herself leading more aspects of the project as Dr. Collins recognized her contributions. As their relationship deepened, Maya introduced Elijah to Tasha over dinner at a small neighborhood restaurant. True to prediction, Tasha subjected him to a thorough but good-natured interrogation. "So, billionaire guy," she said bluntly over dessert, What are your intentions toward my best friend? Maya nearly choked on her coffee. Tasha! Elijah smiled, unperturbed. I intend to be worthy of her time and trust, he answered simply. Beyond that, I hope we can continue discovering what we might become together. Tasha studied him for a moment before nodding. Good answer. But just so we're clear, I don't care how many companies you own. If you hurt her, you'll answer to me. I would expect nothing less, he replied seriously. Later, as they walked back to his car, Maya apologized for Tasha's directness. Don't apologize, Elijah said. It's good to know you have people who care about you that much. She's just protective. She sees what I see, someone worth protecting. He took her hand as they walked. You've shown me parts of life I've been missing, Maya. Simple things that I never made time for. Like what? Like eating ice cream from a corner shop instead of a 5-star restaurant. Walking in the park without security watching from a distance. Spending an entire Saturday afternoon just talking. He squeezed her hand. You make me feel normal in the best possible way. As their relationship progressed, they encountered the inevitable challenges of their different worlds. Paparazzi photographed them leaving restaurants together, and business publications speculated about the mystery woman seen with Elijah Stone. Maya found herself the subject of gossip at work and online searches by curious colleagues. Does it bother you? Elijah asked, when a particularly intrusive photographer interrupted their dinner one evening. Not for my sake, Maya answered truthfully, but I worry about how it affects the project. I don't want people thinking I'm using our relationship to advance my career. Anyone who knows your work would never think that, he assured her, and anyone who doesn't know your work doesn't matter. Despite the occasional intrusions, their relationship deepened. They developed routines and inside jokes, learned each other's habits and preferences. Elijah discovered Maya's love of old movies and her habit of falling asleep while reading. Maya learned that Elijah was surprisingly skilled at cooking, having taught himself as a way to decompress from work stress. One evening, nearly 3 months after they met, Elijah invited Maya to his penthouse for dinner. He had prepared the meal himself, her favorite pasta dish, with a recipe he had perfected over several attempts. After dinner, they moved to the couch with glasses of wine. Maya sensed something different about Elijah's mood, a quiet tension she couldn't quite place. Is everything okay? She asked as he gazed out at the city lights. I've been thinking about us, he said, turning to face her. About what we've built together these past months. Maya's heart quickened. And? I've never felt this way about anyone, Maya. You've brought something into my life I didn't even know I was missing. He took her hand. I'm in love with you. The words hung in the air between them. Maya had known her own feelings for weeks but had hesitated to express them, unsure if Elijah was ready for that level of commitment. I love you too, she said softly. Relief and joy transformed his face. He drew her close, his kiss gentle at first, then deepening with emotion long held in check. Maya responded with equal passion, the barriers between them finally falling away. When they separated, breathless, Elijah rested his forehead against hers. Stay with me tonight, he whispered, not in the guest room. Maya looked into his eyes, seeing vulnerability and desire in equal measure. Are you sure? I've never been more certain of anything. That night they crossed the final boundary between them. For Maya, it was a first experience made beautiful by Elijah's patience and tenderness. For Elijah, it was a revelation, physical intimacy transformed by emotional connection into something transcendent. Afterward, as they lay together in the darkness, Elijah held her close. You've changed me, Maya, he murmured against her hair. I don't want to go back to who I was before you. Maya traced patterns on his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. Then don't. The rain started sometime in the night, pattering against the windows. They slept deeply, wrapped in each other's arms, two people from different worlds who had found a shared space between them. The morning brought new intimacy between them, shared smiles over breakfast, casual touches, the comfort of newfound closeness. Maya called Tasha to let her know she wouldn't be home, enduring her friend's good-natured teasing with grace. "You're happy," Tasha said, her voice softening. "I can hear it." "I am," Maya confirmed, "happier than I've ever been." Over the following weeks, Maya spent more time at Elijah's penthouse, gradually leaving small traces of herself there: a toothbrush, favorite books, a change of clothes. They fell into domestic patterns that felt surprisingly natural given the extraordinary circumstances of their relationship. At work, the neural implant project continued to advance. Clinical trials showed promising results, and Maya's role expanded further as she developed new protocols for the technology. Elijah attended key meetings, careful to maintain professional boundaries in public while privately celebrating her achievements. But the outside world inevitably intruded on their happiness. Business tabloids published speculative articles about their relationship, some questioning Maya's qualifications and suggesting she had advanced through Elijah's influence rather than her own merit. "Ignore them," Elijah advised when Maya showed him a particularly vicious online comment. "They know nothing about you or us." "But what if this affects the project?" she worried. "What if people start doubting the research because of our relationship?" "The research speaks for itself," he assured her. "The results are documented, the methodology sound. Anyone who questions it based on gossip isn't a serious scientist." Despite his reassurances, Maya noticed subtle changes at work. Colleagues who had once sought her input now bypassed her. Executives who had praised her work now directed questions to Dr. Collins instead. The unspoken implication was clear. Her relationship with Elijah had compromised her professional standing. The tension came to a head during a critical review meeting. As Maya presented the latest trial results, one of the Stone Enterprises board members interrupted her. "These results seem remarkably favorable," he said with barely concealed skepticism. "One might almost think there was some pressure to produce positive outcomes." The implication hit Maya like a physical blow. "The data is independently verified," she replied, struggling to keep her voice steady. "If you question the methodology, I'm happy to walk through it step by step." Elijah, seated at the far end of the table, spoke up. "Dr. Peterson, if you have specific concerns about the research, I suggest you review the full documentation before making insinuations." The room fell silent at his intervention. Although his tone was professional, everyone present understood the rebuke. After the meeting, Maya confronted Elijah in his office. "You shouldn't have done that," she said, closing the door behind her. "You made it worse." "He was out of line," Elijah replied, his jaw tight with anger. "I won't let anyone question your integrity." "But that's exactly the problem." Maya's frustration spilled over. "Every time you defend me, it confirms their suspicions that I'm getting special treatment." He ran a hand through his hair, visibly upset. "So, what would you have me do? Sit there while they insult you?" "Yes, that's exactly what I need from you professionally." She took a deep breath. "Our relationship is between us. At work, I need to stand on my own." Elijah was silent for a long moment. "I'm not used to holding back when someone I care about is attacked." "I know." Maya moved closer, taking his hand. "But if this is going to work us, the project, everything we need boundaries." He nodded slowly. "You're right. I'm sorry." The incident highlighted the complexities of balancing their personal and professional lives. They agreed to establish clearer separation. Elijah would step back from direct involvement in project meetings unless absolutely necessary, and Maya would handle workplace challenges on her own. Despite their best efforts, rumors and whispers continued. Some colleagues avoided Maya entirely, while others made thinly veiled comments about her rapid advancement. Even Dr. Collins, who had always been her champion, seemed increasingly cautious around her. "Maybe I should resign," Maya suggested one evening as they sat on Elijah's balcony watching the sunset. "Find a position at another research facility." Elijah looked troubled. "Is that what you want?" "No. I love the work, and we're so close to a breakthrough," she sighed. "But sometimes I wonder if the project would be better off without the distraction of our relationship." "The project would suffer without your expertise," Elijah said firmly. "And I would suffer without you in my life." Maya leaned against him, drawing comfort from his presence. "I just wish there was a way to prove myself without your name attached to everything I do." Elijah was quiet for a long moment. "Maybe there is." The next day, Elijah announced a restructuring of the neural implant project. The research would be moved to a separate facility, funded by Stone Enterprises but operating independently with its own board of scientific advisors. Maya would remain lead researcher but would report to an independent committee rather than directly to Stone Enterprises executives. The move was professionally risky for Elijah, giving up direct control of a promising technology but personally essential for their relationship. Maya understood the sacrifice he was making and loved him all the more for it. "Thank you," she told him when they were alone. "I know what this cost you. You're worth more," he said simply. The new arrangement brought immediate benefits. Freed from the politics of their relationship, the research team made rapid progress. 6 months after meeting Elijah, Maya presented the first successful human trial results to the independent board-of-stroke patient, who had regained significant motor function using the neural implant they had developed. "This is groundbreaking work, Dr. Williams," the lead reviewer said, using her professional title. "You've accomplished in months what others haven't achieved in years." The validation of her work earned entirely on merit meant everything to Maya. That evening, she and Elijah celebrated quietly at his penthouse. "I am so proud of you," he said, raising a glass to her. "Not because you're with me, but because you're brilliant, determined, compassionate." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I couldn't have done it without your support." "Not true. You would have gotten there eventually." He took her hand across the table. "I just helped speed things along." Their personal relationship deepened as their professional lives stabilized. Maya gradually moved more of her belongings to Elijah's penthouse, though she maintained her own apartment as a symbol of her independence. They settled into a rhythm of shared mornings and evenings, with busy days in between. Elijah took Maya to his vacation home on a private island for a week-long getaway, where they swam in crystal-clear waters and walked on empty beaches. Away from the pressures of work and public scrutiny, they discovered new aspects of each other: Elijah's surprising skill at spearfishing, Maya's talent for sketching the stunning landscapes. "I could stay here forever," she said one evening, as they watched the sunset from the beach. "We could," Elijah replied, half serious. "I could run the company remotely. You could set up a research facility here." Maya laughed. "Tempting, but we both know we'd miss the work too much." "True." He wrapped his arms around her from behind. "But it's nice to dream about sometimes." On their last night on the island, Elijah seemed preoccupied during dinner. Maya noticed his distraction but didn't comment until they walked along the beach afterward. "What's on your mind?" she asked, squeezing his hand. "You've been somewhere else all evening." Elijah stopped walking, turning to face her. "I've been thinking about us, about the future." Maya's heart quickened. "What about it?" "These past months with you have been the happiest of my life," he said, his voice soft in the darkness. "You've shown me what it means to truly connect with someone, not for what they can do for me or what I represent to them, but simply for who we are together." "Elijah, please, let me finish." He took both her hands in his. "Before I met you, I had success, wealth, power, everything except what matters most. You filled that emptiness, Maya. You made me whole." To her surprise, He dropped to one knee on the sand before her, the gentle waves providing a rhythmic backdrop to the moment. "I know it hasn't been long," he continued, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. "And I know our worlds are different in many ways, but I love you, Maya Williams. I want to build a life with you not as Elijah Stone the billionaire, but as a man who found the other half of his soul." From his pocket, he produced a small box, opening it to reveal a ring with a simple yet stunning diamond that caught the moonlight. "Will you marry me?" Maya's breath caught in her throat. Despite the growing seriousness of their relationship, she hadn't expected this, not yet. But looking down at Elijah, his expression open and vulnerable, she realized her answer had been forming since the day they met. "Yes," she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. Elijah slipped the ring onto her finger, then stood to pull her into his arms. Their kiss was tender at first, then deepened with the promise of their future together. The waves lapped at their feet, the stars witnessed their commitment, and for that perfect moment, the differences in their backgrounds seemed insignificant compared to the love they shared. Their engagement brought a new level of public attention. Business publications that had previously speculated about their relationship now analyzed what Maya's presence in Elijah's life might mean for Stone Enterprises. Society columnists debated wedding details, while tabloids dug into Maya's background, publishing photos of her modest childhood home and interviews with former classmates. "I'm sorry about all this," Elijah said when a particularly invasive article appeared, detailing Maya's scholarship applications and student loans. "I should have prepared you better." "It's not your fault," Maya assured him, though the public dissection of her life was uncomfortable. "They'll find something else to talk about eventually." More challenging than the media attention was the process of merging their different worlds. Elijah's social circle business associates, fellow executives, and the wealthy elite greeted the engagement with polite congratulations that often masked skepticism. At charity events and business dinners, Maya encountered subtle questions about prenuptial agreements and career plans that revealed underlying assumptions about her motives. Meanwhile, introducing Elijah to Maya's extended family presented its own complications. Her parents had met him briefly and adored him, impressed less by his wealth than by his evident love for their daughter. But the wider family gathering for her cousin's wedding created a more awkward situation. "Everyone's staring," Elijah murmured as they entered the modest community center where the reception was held. "They're just curious," Maya replied, though she knew it was more than that. Her family had read about Elijah, seen him on television, discussed his wealth in ways that made his actual presence among them surreal. Throughout the evening, Maya watched Elijah navigate the unfamiliar territory with grace. He danced with her elderly aunts, discussed local sports with her uncles, and genuinely listened to her cousin's stories. By the end of the night, he had won over most of the family through simple kindness and his obvious devotion to Maya. "Your family is wonderful," he told her, as they drove back to their hotel. "Especially your grandmother, she has your eyes. And your determination." Maya smiled, touched by his observation. "She liked you too, told me I should keep this one high praise from Grandma." As their wedding plans progressed, they faced decisions that highlighted their different backgrounds. Elijah was accustomed to grand gestures and lavish events, while Maya preferred simplicity and meaning over extravagance. "We don't need a wedding with 500 guests," she insisted during one planning discussion. "I'd rather have people there who actually know us." "The business relationships," Elijah began, "can be maintained at business functions," Maya finished firmly. "Our wedding should be about us, not Stone Enterprises." They compromised on a ceremony with 100 guests, close family and genuine friends, only held at a beautiful outdoor venue. The reception would be elegant but intimate, focused on celebration rather than spectacle. As the wedding approached, Maya found herself increasingly reflective about the changes in her life. One evening she sat on the balcony of their penthouse, looking out over the city lights. "Penny for your thoughts?" Elijah asked, joining her with 2 glasses of wine. "I was just thinking about how much has changed in a year," she said, accepting the glass. "Sometimes I hardly recognize my life." "Do you regret any of it?" he asked, a hint of vulnerability in his question. "Not a single moment," she assured him. "But it is a lot to process, going from a research assistant in a small lab to leading a groundbreaking project and marrying one of the richest men in the country." Elijah smiled. "When you put it that way, it does sound like a lot. The strangest part is that despite all the external changes, I still feel like me." She looked at him thoughtfully. "And you're still the same man who helped me pick up my papers in the lobby? All the rest, the money, the publicity, the fancy events, that's just wrapping paper around what matters." "And what matters?" he asked softly. "This," she said, gesturing between them. Elijah kissed her gently. "That's what I love about you, Maya. You always cut through to what's essential." The week before their wedding, Maya received unexpected news. The neural implant project had been approved for expanded clinical trials based on the strength of their initial results. The technology she had helped develop would soon help hundreds of stroke patients regain function and independence. "This is what I've been working toward for years," she told Elijah, her voice thick with emotion as she shared the news. "To know it's actually going to help people, that makes everything worthwhile." "It's only the beginning," he promised her. "Wait until you see what you accomplish next." Their wedding day dawned clear and perfect. In a garden overlooking the ocean, Maya and Elijah exchanged vows, surrounded by those who truly cared about them, her parents beaming with pride, Tasha serving as maid of honor, Elijah's longtime assistant James standing as best man. No photographers were allowed except their chosen professional, ensuring the ceremony remained intimate and personal. Maya wore a simple but elegant gown that made her feel beautiful without overwhelming her natural grace. Elijah's face when he first saw her walking toward him a mixture of awe, joy, and profound love was a moment she knew she would remember forever. Their vows, written by themselves, spoke not of fairy tales or perfect love stories, but of partnership, growth, and building a future that honored both their pasts. They promised to support each other's dreams, to communicate honestly through challenges, and to remember always the simple connection that had brought them together amid complicated circumstances. "I take you as you are," Maya said, her voice steady despite her tears. "Not for your success or your name." "I take you as my equal," Elijah responded, his own eyes bright with emotion. "My partner in all things, my conscience when I falter, my joy when I succeed." As they sealed their vows with a kiss, applause and cheers erupted around them. Two worlds had indeed collided, but instead of destruction, they had created something new and beautiful. The reception that followed was a seamless blend of elegance and warmth. Maya's family mixed with Elijah's business associates who had become true friends. Tasha's toast had everyone laughing and wiping away tears, while James revealed a surprisingly sentimental side in his speech about the changes Maya had brought to Elijah's life. "I've worked with him for 15 years, James concluded, raising his glass to the couple. "But I've never seen him truly happy until you, Maya. Thank you for that gift." As evening fell, Maya and Elijah shared their first dance under strings of twinkling lights. "Any regrets?" he murmured as they moved together. Maya looked up at her husband, the man who had entered her life by chance and stayed by choice. "Only that we didn't collide in that lobby sooner." 1 year after their wedding, Maya stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows of their penthouse, watching a storm roll in over the city. So much had changed. Yet moments like this, brought her back to that first night she had spent here, uncertain of the future, but drawn irresistibly to the man who had opened his world to her. The neural implant project had expanded beyond their initial hopes. Over 200 patients had now received the technology, with remarkable results in mobility recovery. Maya had been recognized with prestigious awards for her contribution to medical science, establishing her reputation entirely separate from her connection to Elijah. For his part, Elijah had transformed Stone Enterprises, shifting its focus more deliberately toward medical innovation and accessibility. Under his direction, the company developed programs to ensure their medical technologies reached not just those who could afford them, but those who needed them most. Their personal life had found a comfortable rhythm. They maintained the penthouse as their primary home, but had purchased a small house near Maya's parents, where they spent holidays and occasional weekends. The two worlds had merged more seamlessly than either had expected, with Elijah finding unexpected peace in the simplicity of family gatherings, and Maya discovering she could navigate high society while remaining true to herself. "What are you thinking about?" Elijah asked, joining her at the window. His arms slipped around her waist, his chin resting on her shoulder. "The first night I stayed here," she answered honestly, "standing in this exact spot, watching the rain, wondering what I was getting myself into." He chuckled. "I was terrified you'd run away and never speak to me again." "I nearly did." She turned in his arms to face him. "I'm glad I stayed." "So am I." His expression grew serious. "I have something to tell you." "That sounds ominous." "Not at all." He smiled, taking her hand and placing it against her stomach. "The doctor called while you were in the lab today. The tests confirmed it. We're having a baby." Maya's breath caught. They had been trying for several months, but hearing the confirmation made it suddenly, wonderfully real. "We're going to be parents?" Elijah nodded, his eyes shining. "According to the doctor, about 7 months from now." Joy washed over her, so intense it brought tears to her eyes. This new life they had created together represented everything their relationship had become: a bridge between different worlds, a future built on love rather than circumstances, a reminder that the most precious things couldn't be bought or sold. "Are you happy?" Elijah asked, brushing away a tear that had escaped down her cheek. "Happier than I ever imagined possible," she whispered, leaning up to kiss him. "Our baby will have the best of both our worlds." As they stood together, planning their expanding future with excited whispers and tender touches, the rain fell gently against the windows, no longer a barrier between Maya and a world she didn't understand, but a reminder of the night their separate paths had truly begun to merge into one shared journey. Outside, the city lights glimmered through the raindrops, a constellation of possibilities stretching before them. Maya William Stone, once an uncertain visitor to this penthouse in the sky, had found not just a place to belong, but a love that transcended the boundaries of wealth and background, a love built on seeing each other completely, accepting each other fully, and choosing each other daily. In the end, it wasn't about a girl from a small town meeting a lonely billionaire. It was about two people recognizing in each other the missing pieces of themselves and building something beautiful together.